In this lecture, I'll be talking about the bone shapes as you get older. So it still correlates what we talked about previously about pain and arthritis. So the doctors often claim as you get older, you get arthritis and all sorts of hip problems. So I'm going to talk about FEI bone shapes as you age. In one study, researchers looked for bone shapes in healthy athletes, senior age athletes. I'll provide that link. So what they found is that the presence of the cam and pincer bone shapes had no relationship with hip pain or hip function even in this older age group. And I quote, radiographic findings consistent with hip impingement in these senior athletes were common, but were not associated with the presence of osteoarthritis. The data suggests that the need to screen for asymptomatic young athletes for radiographic evidence of hip impingements or hip dysplasia may not be necessary. Interesting, unquote. So, in layman's terms, x-rays in the seniors showed hip impingement deformities, bone shapes quite commonly, but those bone shapes had no relationship to hip pain or hip mobility. So screening young athletes for hip impingement bone deformities or dysplasia may not make sense. So after all, if the things you're screening for have no relationship to pain, why do it in the first place? So if you know that the test doesn't identify the cause of a problem, then the test doesn't need to be done. So that's what happened with me, or the tests, the scans I've been through, a lot of people have been the same. So it's pretty bizarre stuff. Despite a growing evidence in conclusion that FEI bones aren't related to pain or movement dysfunction, doctors still, assert that hip impingement bone deformities needs to be addressed through surgical means to improve comfort and function. But the reason for this is very complicated and varied and is beyond the scope of this study. But I want everyone to take away from this that it's a good idea to inform yourself and read these studies and articles before committing to any surgical intervention to correct bone shapes. The bone shapes, by all accounts, apparently have nothing to do with one's level of pain or discomfort. I'll provide all those links and studies for you. The American Journal and the CT findings of cam and pincer in the younger population. That will be the links provided. And see you in the next video.